So I'm wrapping up You're Worth It with my story. And you've been tracking with me through these videos, hopefully. This will give a lot of context. If you hear this for the first time, then go back and watch the previous videos. What we're talking about is how do we end up presenting our true value, not holding anything back, not discounting ourselves. And I go, there's three foundational ways to do that. You've got to know your numbers, you've got to show courage, you've got to bring self-confidence. And then I go deeper with self-confidence, and I talk about, in previous videos, how to feed your self-confidence with contentment. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, so you're going to have to go listen to that video. But in this video, what I want to illustrate is, because I was racking my brain, how can I wrap all this up and just give a living example of how this works? And I realized you're looking at one. And the way I want to illustrate this is with my book, The Next Level Entrepreneur. Focus your passions, map your directions, build a great company. So here's the deal, is that I contend in previous videos that success and self-confidence are not connected at all. In fact, success has nothing to do with self-confidence. You don't have to listen to those videos to unpack all of that. I just want to illustrate it with my story. And here's the deal, is that I say there's three things that feed self-confidence. Expertise, knowledge. Well, you've got my expertise in this book. I unpack in this book, in part 3, my complete strategic process. And the second thing is experience. And my experience with that process is it absolutely works. Most notably, I used it with a company called Rackspace. And they were at 100 million in sales. I worked with them for 4 years. I guided their corporate strategy. I used the Next Level Navigator, and they became the #1 managed hosting company in the world. And up until my time, they went from 100 million to $500 million in sales. They went from 800 employees to over 2,000 employees. And here's the thing, is that that process is in the book. What that is that's the experience. Well, the track record, which is a third component of self-confidence, is in people reading this book. And what I found is that based on what they've told me, it's been transformational. Now, I admit, I'm not a New York Times bestseller. I'm not ranked very high at all on Amazon in book sales, because I just don't have them. I'd like 10,000 copies of the book out there that people have read or are reading or passing along. I might be at 500, maybe, I don't know. I'm maybe closer to 1,000 than I think. But here's the bottom line, is that by any measure of success, that's not success, okay? Clearly, a minimal successful book sells at 1,000 copies. I'm not there. So, what does that do to my self-confidence? Absolutely nothing. Because I know without a shadow of a doubt that if you buy this book and read it, buy the paperback, mark it up, and you start going through that process and start applying it to your company, it will make you change your way of doing things. It will make you more successful, and you will be telling me about it. It just works. And so this book, a little history on the book, is this is actually the 4th edition. It started out as an ebook, all right? So I wrote this ebook, and we tested the process. So the process worked, but what I didn't know was how I had written it, would that work? And so we tested it with senior level strategic management students, and they went through the process. And at one point, I asked a student, I just leaned over, we were at a break, and I just leaned over and I asked him, I said, so what do you think of the book just as a book? And he goes, oh, I really liked it, George, but it ended rather abruptly. And I was like, it hit me. I was like, oh, I forgot the epilogue. I didn't wrap it all up. And so that first version was not very good. And the students were all about, you need a paperback. This needs to be in a paperback where we can have a hard copy and we can mark it up, we can write in the margins and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, you know what? I know who I am, I know my confidence in this, and having written this version of it, this is not good enough to be a paperback, not to my standards at all. So I rewrote the entire book. I expanded the content by about 30%, so it was a massive expansion. It went deeper. It was so much better than the previous book. I actually think it's really the second book I've written. And And it was based on a lot of input I had received. Well, then I got more input on changing the title and cover and the whole layout. And so I did that, and that was a significant reread and rewrite of the entire book. Kind of like a third book. This is the final issue. This is the final edition. It's it. It's done. There's a second book, perhaps, but this one is it. So if I were to compare myself to like a David McCullough, who I mentioned earlier, he's been writing books for 42 years. He's a historian. And or Stephen Pressfield. These guys have been writing books for decades. And they have, I don't know, dozens of books out there. Okay, I know David McCullough. I know Stephen Pressfield. I'm George Black. But I will tell you this, I'm 100% confident in who I am in the 3 books in 1 that I have written. And success has nothing to do with my confidence. But I'm pushing for success. I'm pressing for selling or distributing, however it occurs, more copies of the book. I truly believe that every entrepreneur in the world should read this book. And if you don't, you're missing out. And if you do, you're going to find answers to questions you didn't even know you have that desperately need answering. Can you feel my confidence? Can you feel that? Because it has nothing to do with the fact that maybe there's 500, I don't know, to 1,000. There's not 1,000. So 500 to some hundred number of copies out there. So here's what this is all about. You need to have that kind of confidence for the level you're at. If you've written 3 books, you're not a 30-book author. You're a 3-book author. Be 100% confident as a 3-book author, not a 30-book author. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay? That's where I think you will find a breakthrough and success. So apply all of this and go through the You're Worth It. I promise you, presenting your full and true and complete value is transformative. And just to reiterate from a week ago, literally, it doesn't mean you don't negotiate off of that if that's a price or whatever. But your client, your customer needs to know the complete and full value you bring. Don't hold nothing back. You need to hit that ball with everything you've got. And you will be remarkably surprised. And I promise you, in just these 7 videos, you will be more profitable than you were 7 videos ago if you apply this. The other thing is, if you will apply this book and you will apply the strategic process, you will be able to sustain the growth of your company for as many years as you want to grow your company. Okay? How's that for confidence? All right. So here's what we're going to do. More videos to come. You got to tune in to see what we're talking about.